Hello and afternoon all. Thank you for joining our iGyro training session this afternoon. Today we're going to be going through the new quote request module. So this is the first look at this module in the iGyro portal, just released yesterday. So yeah, very first look today. Now what we'll run through today is quickly load up a job. I'll start using the quote request module to request quotes from suppliers. And you can see how quickly you can build that up because the template's already set up, ready to go. But then after that, I'll go back and show you how to set up the admin screens for that as well. So to start with, I will pick a job here, open that job. And of course, we've got our job with all the tabs across the top for various modules here, and we'll pick the quote request one. Alrighty, so to start with, we're going to end up on a blank screen. This is a brand new job, so we'll go to quote request, blank screen, a couple of options here, and the quickest and most effective is this apply template. So ahead of time, you can set up in your admin section a template that you can apply very quickly to this for quote requests, or we can just hit the plus button to add an individual quote request. So I'll just add one individual one. Let's say we're trying to get a quote request from Bunnings for some frames or timber frame, that'll do. And we'll save that one. And it's just given us a quote request template to send off to the Bunnings quote request team. So by default, or sorry, by template setup, it's attached these additional files that the supplier will need in order to come up with their quote. So these ones are fairly generic ones coming from the global documents area, but generally you'd need some plans and attachments and things that would go along with that as well. So this is just a blank job and doesn't have those. Alrighty, so internal, so look at these dates down here. Our date requested is the date we've emailed this off to Bunnings in this instance. So we can't edit that. That'll just let us know once the email's been sent. We've got the date received. So on the flip side of this, once Bunnings receives this quote request, they can go ahead and build up their quote. And they, in that part of that email, they'll have a link. It's a supplier portal link back into iGyro where they can upload their quote back into this system for you. So if they follow that process, this date will get automatically populated for you. But if in the instance they don't do that, they just reply to the email and attach the quote for you, it just gives you an opportunity here to come in and select your own date. So essentially you'd receive the email from Bunnings, you'd upload the attachment into your attachments tab yourself and just mark that date received in here. So it'll look like this if we just did that. As simple as just clicking that date there. So that's a one-off quote request. You can do that at any time. We've got our internal comment. These are notes for yourself or your estimators as they're working. They may like to do notes ahead of time just to let everyone know what they're requesting. Even notes after the fact, once the quotes come back in, you can save some notes in here. And the supplier comment, again, is grayed out here. And that's the supplier. When they upload a file to you, they have an opportunity to write a comment just for you to read once it comes back into the system. Now you'll notice there's no save buttons here. It's just a matter of, as you're typing, it'll save for you. Clicking out, things will just save. Now to send that quote request off to your supplier, you can double click. That'll open up your email here. And this template has been set up with a couple of red items in here. This is really just from the estimator who set this up. And it's asking a question, I suppose, before you send this off. You just say, yes, we want treated. It gives you an opportunity to edit this email before it's sent off. We can adjust who it's being emailed to. So this is done in your business contact. So by default, it'll select the correct email address to email that supplier on, but you can change that or add additional people if you need to. And we can save that and not even send that one off. Okay, now if I right click, you can also open email with that right click, the same as double clicking either of these two columns here, which opens the email. Just double clicking anywhere else on the row is going to open up your editing screen here. Okay, so that's a one single item here. Like you could do this 40 times for all of your different suppliers that you're receiving quotes for, but the smarter and more efficient way is to use the templates. So I'll just delete this one out. We'll go ahead and apply a template here. First, worth noting here that back on the job details, you do need to have selected your consent authority because the templates are built up based on your consent authority. So you could have 6 different templates based on 6 different consent authorities if you like. All right, we'll go to quote request and we will hit apply template. All right, so instantly there, we've got all of these quote requests ready to go. So each of these based on the type of cost center it is, if we double click and look at that email, we'll have a different email going to that set of suppliers. So ideally, there's cost center 320. All of those would get the same email so that they're quoting the same thing. All right, so in this instance, we're requesting timber frame and truss quotes off 5 different suppliers there. So that may be too many. I don't know. Like maybe you only want 3 quotes in there, but you certainly can do as many as you like. Shane has a question there.
Can you hear me, Timothy?
I can hear you, Shane.
Does this have the feature where you can complete the email once and then copy and paste it to the other suppliers like is in the desktop?
That has not rolled out just yet, but you can double click, just copy all of that and then paste it straight into the next one if you'd like to. But all of those features will be rolled out very soon.
And sorry, how do you get back to that screen where you make internal comments? Because you're double clicking to bring up the email, is that right?
Correct. So again, so this is something that's changing very shortly, but at the moment you can double click either the email column or the date requested column, and that will open the email. Any other column will open up the editing screen. So we'll be moving that email so it only pops up this flyout here with the email details in this window as well.
Sorry, say that again. So you're going to move the email into that right-hand screen, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, sweet. That was going to be my next question. Jeez.
No, this is just the rollout for today's webinar. So yeah, it was only just released yesterday, and yeah, there's a few improvements to come. Alrighty, as we have a look through this screen as well, you've probably noticed these exclamation marks. So if you hover your mouse over the top of these, it will let you know what you're missing. So again, built from the template, each of these cost centers will be expecting a certain type of file to be attached automatically for you. And saves you a bunch of time because it just means when you're sending an email, you don't need to have a collection of files that you drag and drop into your email every time. This automatically attaches based on your cost center. So this one here is telling us that we're missing council plans and engineering. So you can, of course, send it out without those attachments in place, but it is a warning just to let you know that you don't have them there. Alrighty, so it's just a matter of having the right attachments in your attachment screen. Alrighty, we'll send one of these off. Just going to send that to myself so I'm not annoying a supplier. Alrighty, and I'll send that off. Righty, once that's received by the supplier, they will get something similar to this. So it's an email with the request details and all the attachments. So the automatic attachments will go in here as well. And they'll have a link here they can click back into the portal there. So we'll just pull that up. If the supplier clicks that link, they will get a screen like this, and this will list all of their requests. All right, so just a few little instructions there about double clicking and uploading attachments. So again, this is from the supplier's point of view when they're ready to give you their quote back. They can double click, and these are just dates for their reference to know when they received the request and when they've uploaded their detail. So you can browse, or the supplier can browse for attachments here, or they can simply just drag and drop something on. They can do more than one. Well, just from here, I'm just selecting multiple items, dragging those in. And of course, they've got their comment. Alrighty, it's just a matter then of them hitting the upload button, gives them a little message to say that it's been uploaded, and they can still add more files if they'd like to. So while this is still open and you haven't accepted the quote, the supplier can come back in here and they can just simply add another file. Or make a change to this. If we come back, I'll reload that quote request screen. And we'll see here, we've got the date requested. So that was the date that we sent that email off to the supplier. And now the supplier's completed that and they've uploaded their files. We've also got a date in here to say they've uploaded the file. So if we double click that, get all the files the supplier uploaded in here. You can just click to download those. Just put a date in there of when we received that. And then you've got your options here for accepting or declining it. This is really just for your reference here. If we like this quote, you can just choose that. All right, again, not saving any details, just saves automatically for you. Alrighty, so again, we just set off one item, but you can send off multiple. So you can control click all of these items here, and you could send all those off with the send bulk email option here. So let's just say you wanted to send off all of your early cost centers. You could shift click all of those, right click, send bulk email. So we won't do that in this exercise because it'll email off to all these suppliers. But you can see then that you can very quickly, using a template, apply the template, could shift click all of these if you were confident that the emails were right for each of them, like the text in the email. Right click, send bulk, and you've sent off all of your quote requests. And then as they get populated, these dates will populate for you. All right, you probably saw in that right click menu there, we've got a few options here. So this quote request detail is the same as double clicking. Just going to open up that screen for you for editing. Open email, same as double clicking those two columns. So that menu will be removed once this email gets positioned back into that flyout menu. And send email here and also delete. So if you didn't want that quote request in there anymore, delete the item. Simple as that. Okay, so if there's any questions at this point, please raise your hand and I can later talk there. So I've pretty well gone through the functionality of how to request all of your quotes and how to manage those. And then straight after this, we'll dive into how to set up the templates for these.
Sorry, Tim, I was just going to say those comments on the right-hand side, they're obviously in this demo database replicating the features of the red exclamation marks on the left, as in they're largely deprecated by the file name matching. Where are those comments stored? Like where it says attach council plans, yada, yada, yada. Where is that saved against this template or against this cost center?
Okay, so we'll dive into that now. We're just going into the admin section now. But yeah, I haven't actually touched base on that. That's really just a comment that you're setting up in your template. Probably not necessarily a need to do that. So with council plans and integrity edges and things being attached automatically, you probably don't need that there. But we will go through that now just in the admin screens.
Sorry, the only other question I have.
Shane's just muted himself. So let's go to the admin screen and we're going to visit cost centers to start with. Okay, so this is the list of all of our cost centers. You can obviously create a new cost center. But what we're looking at here in terms of the quote requesting is just the settings behind these. So I'll pull up our timber frame and truss cost center and I'll click the settings button. And a couple of things we can look at here. These are the quote requests, automatic attachments that are coming in. So on the right-hand side, these are a set of filters, and I'll briefly describe those. You can easily make your own filters just by that plus button. But over here, for example, council plans, if we look at this, it's got a % sign, 2% signs in there, and the word council in the middle. So the % signs are wildcard characters. So it's essentially telling us here, looking at this pattern, is that a council plan consists of any number of characters with the word council in the file name, any number of characters afterwards, and it's a .pdf extension there. Down here, I'll just show you that again here. So there's your % sign. So any number of characters, the word council, any number of characters, and .pdf. And this folder, so it also needs to live in this attachment drawing folder. I may quickly shoot back to that job. The folders we're referring to is this attachments folder here. So attachments drawings. So a file with the name council needs to be located in here. Okay, so essentially you just add those into this quote request section. So I've added two there. We already had one, but I've just added that in. So what will happen then is that when we send off the email, it will automatically attach any file that matches the patterns here. Right, and I'll remove that one because we don't need two, just by clicking that one there. Alrighty, so that's the attachment filters and similar setup for the purchase orders as well. But we're just looking at quote requests today. And again, on here, we've got the quote email template. Click on that one. This is where you edit the email text here. So there's a few special characters in here. Best off to cut and paste these between the cost centers so you get them right. But anyway, you see this series of characters for job number, when the email gets sent out, it'll replace with the actual job's job number. Same with site address, it'll replace that with the full site address for that job. And the other one here is attachment list. So as long as you have that series of characters in here in your email template, then these attachment filters will apply and will automatically attach files from your attachments. The other part that you will need to copy as well is this section here. So click here to upload a quote. This is the link for the supplier. So we'll make that available so you can just cut and paste that between your cost centers. But that's a special link that will allow that supplier to get to their area where they can see all of the quotes they need to provide for you. This text is just free form. You may or may not want that in your business, or you can adjust it to suit. And you can just copy and paste this too. So you could copy that, and once you get your first quote template right for your emails, you can then 1310. You then, for example, just open this one and paste it into this quote email template as well. So a good idea just to get the formatting all the same, and then you can adjust the actual request text based on that cost center. Alrighty, so that's configuring your cost centers. The other thing we need to look at now is your business contacts. So we mentioned before we need to have assigned a consent authority to your job. So I'm going to pull up the Coffs Council again, Coffs Harbour City Council. And you'll notice it's got a suppliers tab. So other businesses don't have that suppliers tab, whereas consent authorities do. So if we wanted to make this a consent authority, obviously you probably create a new one, but we can choose the industry, click consent authority. When we save that, let's turn this business into a consent authority and gives us that suppliers tab. Alrighty, so back on the Coffs Harbour City Council, if we go to suppliers, this is already pre-configured, and this is what was driving our quote request template. So we can copy and paste these. So once we set up one consent authority, we can easily copy them to another council. So we can shift click all of those, or we could cherry pick by control clicking, right click and copy suppliers. And it will ask us where we'd like to copy these to. And I'll just choose our blinds and awnings again, even though it's not a consent authority. We'll copy it there. Make them a consent authority again. Ready? So I've just essentially copied that template for cost center and company into this business. Alrighty, so to just having a quick look here, we've got say our 320 cost center again. So we had those 5 items here. If we decided there's one of these we didn't want in our future quoting, we can just delete one of those out. And we do need to save on this screen. There's a save button there. Or we want to change the business, we could double click that and just search for a different business here. Save those. All right, so simple as that. So if we want to then add another one in, we could do Bunnings again. And we just want to add that into 340. Okay, I've just added that one in there. So when we refresh that, that'll sort back alphabetical again for us. But that's the way that you would go through and build up which suppliers you would like to get quotes from. Just a matter of hitting that plus button and filling that detail out. You go back to that job again. Alrighty, and that's basically all there is to that configuration process there. So again, if there's any questions, please let me know. But it can take a little bit of time to configure, cost centers and your business contacts to get that right. But the time you spend, you'll get that back tenfold by the amount of time you're saving when you're applying these templates. So just a warning though, like you are setting up your templates, you're getting your email as best as you can in your cost center templates, but you probably do, until you get familiar with it, want to come into each of the emails and make sure you're happy with the text that's going to each of the suppliers before you send it. All right, looks like we've covered that for today. So there are a few tiny improvements that will be made in the coming days. So we'll let you know once they're up and ready to go, but you can use this as demonstrated today right now. Alrighty guys, thanks for joining and we'll see you again next time.